Imagine sitting down at the dinner table and instead of just eating a normal meal, you're actually eating good luck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like you are consuming physical, edible wealth. That's a pretty amazing way to start a dinner, right?
It really is. I mean, it's not just a nice thought. In certain cultures, the food on your plate is, specifically designed to represent prosperity.
Exactly.
You aren't just feeding your stomach. You're basically setting your intentions for the entire year.
Welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We are thrilled you're here with us. We're jumping straight into a really fascinating guide today, one that blends culinary history with language learning.
Yeah, it's such a unique approach.
It really is. Today we're exploring the rich cultural and, linguistic world of the legendary Chinese dumpling, which in Chinese is called jiaozi.
It's a fantastic topic. And, the guide we're analyzing today is actually designed to teach English, but it uses the Chinese dumpling as the core subject matter.
Right.
It's a brilliant approach because, food is universal. Everyone understands food.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is twofold. First, we really want to unpack the cultural magic, the family traditions, and the culinary secrets behind jiaozi.
Sounds delicious.
Doesn't it? And second, we're going to highlight the specific, highly descriptive English vocabulary that the source uses to capture this whole experience.
Oh, that's great for our listeners.
Yeah, we want to keep things clear, very approachable, and we'll keep our pace moderate. We know some of you listening are lower intermediate English learners.
Right.
So we're going to use simple, easy to understand sentences. We want this to be accessible, but still, highly engaging intellectually.
Food just gives us this wonderful landscape for learning. I mean, it's practical, it's cultural, and it gives us very vivid, specific words to describe exactly what we are experiencing.
Totally. So let's start with the physical dumpling itself. The author of our guide uses this really beautiful metaphor right at the beginning.
Oh, the treasure chest one.
Yes. They describe the jiaozi as a tiny, warm treasure chest made of dough. And, inside this little chest, there's a delicious hidden surprise.
I really appreciate that imagery. I mean, a treasure chest immediately implies that whatever is locked inside is valuable.
Yeah, something special.
Exactly. And it's carefully protected. The outside is just a simple mixture of flour and water, but it holds something quite complex. Typically, that surprise inside is a savory mixture of meat and vegetables.
Right.
And the most classic combination you'll find there is pork and cabbage.
But, you can't just throw a big chunk of pork and a whole cabbage leaf inside this delicate dough.
Yeah.
The guide points out a very specific English word here. It says the meat has to be minced.
Right. Minced. That's a great word.
So for our listeners, minced basically means it needs to be chopped into very, very small pieces, almost until it becomes like a soft paste.
Yeah, exactly.
And I imagine that's crucial because, a large solid block of meat would just rip right through the soft dough.
That is certainly part of it. You definitely have to protect the structural integrity of your little treasure chest. But mincing the meat, chopping it into those really tiny pieces is actually more about the science of flavor.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, when you mince the pork and finely chop the cabbage, you allow those two distinct ingredients to just blend completely. They release their juices and they mix together perfectly.
Oh, I see.
If you just have big, chunky pieces, you might take a bite and, only taste plain cabbage or only taste dry pork.
Right, which isn't great.
Exactly. By mincing everything, you guarantee that every single bite contains the exact same perfect balance of flavors. It creates this unified taste profile.
That makes a lot of sense. You want complete harmony in every bite. And if you don't eat pork, the guide notes there are plenty of other treasures you can put inside.
Oh, for sure.
Beef is super popular, as is shrimp. And for vegetarians, a classic, highly flavorful filling is simply scrambled egg mixed with fresh chives.
Sounds amazing. But, regardless of what delicious filling you actually choose, the exterior shape of the jiaozi remains very distinct.
Yeah, it's not just a round ball.
Right. It's not perfectly round like a traditional bread roll or steamed bun.
Yeah.
The guide uses another great English word here to describe its shape. It says the dumpling is a crescent.
A crescent. Yes, that is such a great descriptive word. It means a curved half-moon shape.
Exactly.
Like if you look up at the night sky and see the moon when it's only partially visible, that sharp, elegant curve that is a crescent. And, Some people say these crescent-shaped dumplings look a bit like little ears.
They definitely share that visual similarity with an ear, but historically, this specific curved shape carries a much heavier, more significant meaning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they weren't shaped to look like ears at all. They were actually designed to mimic ancient Chinese silver ingots.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is where the cultural history gets really, really fascinating. So an ingot, for our listeners, an ingot is basically a solid block or a bar of metal. Like before we had paper money or, digital credit cards, people used precious metal bars as currency.
Exactly. And in ancient China, these silver or gold ingots were known as yuanbao, but they didn't look like flat, rectangular bricks like we might picture today.
Right, like a gold bar in a movie.
Yeah, not like that at all. They had a very distinct, curved, sort of boat-like shape, a crescent shape.
Wow. So the dumpling was intentionally designed to look exactly like ancient money, the yuanbao.
Yes.
That means eating jiaozi during the Spring Festival or the Lunar New Year is essentially like consuming literal physical luck.
You hit the nail on the head. That is the exact psychological and cultural link the source is talking about. The Spring Festival is this massive time of renewal.
Right.
You are preparing your mind and your home for the future, hoping the new year brings good luck and prosperity. So, by shaping your food to look like wealth, you're creating a direct physical connection to that wish.
That is so cool.
And tradition suggests that the more of these dumplings you eat during the New Year celebrations, the more prosperous you'll be in the coming months. You are literally internalizing the wealth.
I mean, I really need to start eating a lot more dumplings before my next bank statement arrives.
It couldn't hurt, right?
Exactly. So, okay, we've established what this tiny treasure chest is. It's filled with perfectly minced ingredients, and it's shaped like a crescent to represent a silver ingot.
Yep.
But, raw dough and raw meat aren't exactly appetizing. And because the filling is so finely minced and delicate, you can't just throw these into a hot oven like a loaf of bread.
No, absolutely not.
The cooking method really has to respect the shape and the ingredients.
That is a vital point. And the guide breaks down 3 entirely different methods for cooking jiaozi. What's so fascinating here is that each method completely transforms the final texture of the dumpling.
Okay, let's hear them.
Well, the first method is called shuijiao, which simply means boiling them in hot water.
Boiling. That seems like the most straightforward approach, right? You just drop them in boiling water, they cook, and eventually they float to the top when they're done.
Yes, and boiling creates a very specific experience. The hot water continuously agitates the dumpling, tossing it around and cooking the dough very evenly from all sides.
Oh, that makes sense.
The result is a jiaozi that is incredibly soft, silky, and warm. It's a very comforting texture, especially in the cold winter months.
Yeah, that soft dough probably feels really gentle to eat. But if you want something a bit more structured, the guide mentions the second method, zhengjiao. These are steamed dumplings.
Right. Steaming is a much gentler cooking process than boiling. Typically, you place the raw dumplings inside these small, round bamboo baskets.
Well, I've seen those in restaurants.
Yeah, they're everywhere. These baskets sit over a pot of boiling water, and the rising steam cooks the jiaozi slowly.
I'm guessing because they aren't, violently tumbling around in boiling water, they hold their shape much better.
Precisely. The steam cooks the dough gently, making it slightly more firm, and it preserves all those delicate folds and curves perfectly.
Oh, that's smart.
People often use the steam method when they have a very delicate filling, like just shrimp or purely vegetables, because it seals in the moisture without waterlogging the dumpling.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, at least for me, because my absolute favorite method is the third one, the goody.
Oh, yes.
In English, we often call these pot stickers. These are pan-fried in a skillet. And the guide uses the perfect English vocabulary word to describe their most defining feature. It says the bottom of the dumpling becomes exceptionally crispy.
Crispy is such an evocative word, isn't it?
It really is.
When we say a food is crispy, we mean it has a firm, dry, slightly hardened exterior that breaks apart easily. When you bite into something crispy, it makes a very loud, satisfying crunching sound.
I love that crunch. But can you explain the actual mechanics of how we get that specific texture? Like, why does the pan-fried goody have such a universally appealing bite, compared to the boiled or steamed versions?
It all comes down to a culinary concept called textural contrast.
Textural contrast.
Yeah. Human beings are basically biologically wired to enjoy contrast in our food. When you cook a goodie, you don't just fry it. You place the raw dumplings in a hot pan with a little bit of oil, sure, but you also add a splash of water and quickly cover the pan with a lid.
Ah, so you are actually combining two cooking methods at the exact same time. You're frying the bottom, but the water creates steam to cook the top.
Exactly. The top of the dumpling is gently steamed, so the dough remains soft, smooth, and tender. But the bottom of the dumpling sits directly in the hot oil.
Right.
It undergoes a browning process. It becomes hard, golden brown, and delightfully crispy.
So when you finally take a bite, your brain is registering this soft, pillowy texture on your lips, but your teeth are breaking through a loud, crispy layer at the exact same time.
Right. It makes the eating experience highly dynamic. Your brain just loves that surprise. It's much more exciting to eat than a food that has the exact same texture all the way through.
It really is the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But, we're jumping ahead a bit here.
Sure.
Before we get to experience that crispy bottom or that soft steamed dough, we have to talk about how these dumplings are actually assembled. Because making jiaozi from scratch is rarely a quick, solitary job.
Definitely not. It's not something you just quietly do alone in the kitchen. The author of our guide makes a wonderful observation here. They describe the process of making dumplings as a family team sport.
A team sport.
Yeah.
I think that is a perfect analogy. In a sport like football or basketball, every player on the team has a highly specific role.
Right. Everyone has their job.
You can't win if everyone tries to do the exact same thing.
Right.
And a busy kitchen during dumpling making operates on that exact same logic.
It truly is a highly organized operation. The guide outlines the very defined roles that family members take on. It usually starts with the dough master.
The dough master. I love that title.
It's a title earned with experience. Often, this is the grandmother or the most experienced cook in the family. She stands at the table with a wooden rolling pin, and her job is to take small pieces of raw dough and flatten them into perfect tiny circles.
And it sounds deceptively simple, but I know it's not. The thickness of that dough circle has to be exact, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Like if the dough master rolls it too thin, the dumpling will just tear open in the boiling water. But if it's too thick, it's just a heavy piece of bread and you won't even taste the filling.
The physical technique is remarkable to watch. A true dough master rolls the edges of the circle to be paper thin, but she intentionally leaves the very center slightly thicker to hold the weight of the meat.
That is so clever.
Once she finishes a circle, she passes it directly to the next player on the team, the filling expert.
This sounds like a really high-pressure job.
It is. The filling expert has a very delicate task. They have to understand the perfect ratio of meat to dough. And just to clarify, ratio simply means the correct amount of one thing compared to another.
Right. So if the filling expert gets greedy and scoops way too much minced pork into the dough circle, it's a total disaster. The dumpling will split open, and all that flavorful treasure will just leak out into the cooking water.
A tragedy.
Truly. But if they're too cautious and put in too little filling, the family is basically just chewing on plain flour.
Exactly. It requires a lot of intuition and practice. So the dough master makes the perfect circle. The filling expert adds the precise ratio of meat, and then the dumpling is passed down a line for the final, most intricate step.
Folding it closed.
Right. To seal the dumpling, the dough is pinched together to create little folds. And the guide uses a very specific English word for this. It calls them pleats.
Pleats. This is a really great vocabulary word for our listeners. A pleat is a small, tight fold made by doubling material over on itself.
Like on clothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You see pleats on skirts or maybe on curtains, but here it's a little folded pattern along the curved edge of the dough. The author actually compares this process of making delicate pleats to origami with food.
Origami, of course, being the traditional Japanese art of folding flat paper into beautiful, complex shapes like birds or flowers.
It paints a very elegant picture, doesn't it?
It really does. Very artistic.
It does, but I have to push back on this a little bit. I mean, I have to challenge this romantic idea of perfect food origami.
Oh, why is that?
Because making perfect pleats is incredibly difficult. I've tried to be the person folding the dumplings at the end of the line.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, my dumplings do not look like elegant swans or perfect silver ingots.
Oh, no.
They look terrible. My pleats are uneven and messy. Honestly, my dumplings usually look like they've had a very long, very hard day. They just look exhausted.
That is a very common, very relatable experience. It takes years of muscle memory to fold perfect pleats.
Yeah.
But here's the beautiful part and why your exhausted-looking dumplings are actually perfectly fine.
Okay, I'm relieved.
The guide explains that the physical perfection of the fold isn't really the main point. The crescent shape is important for the symbolism, yes, but the dumpling-making process itself serves a secondary, much more important purpose.
Which is?
It acts as a social tool. The author calls the dumpling the glue that brings the family together.
Oh, I like that. The glue.
Think about the physical reality of making hundreds of dumplings. Everyone is standing shoulder to shoulder around a table. Your hands are covered in flour. You're busy rolling dough, scooping filling, and pinching pleats.
Ah, I see where this is going. Because both of your hands are physically occupied, you can't be holding a smartphone. You can't be checking emails or watching a screen.
Exactly. The process basically forces a digital detox. It forces everyone to be physically and mentally present in the room. You're standing there for an hour or two, and because your hands are working on autopilot, you just start to talk.
That is so rare these days.
It really is. You share stories, you gossip, you tease each other about whose dumplings look the best and whose look exhausted.
Hey, I feel targeted. But you're totally right. The dumpling is just the excuse. It's the physical activity that gives everyone permission to stand in the same room, drop their daily stresses, and actually bond.
That's why jiaozi tastes like home to so many people. It's not just the savory taste of the minced pork or the crispy bottom of the dough. It's the flavor of uninterrupted time spent with the people you love.
That completely changes how I view the whole process. The jiaozi really is the glue. But, eventually the talking stops, the massive piles of raw dumplings are cooked, and it is finally time to sit down and eat.
The best part.
Definitely. Which brings us to the last stage, the table traditions.
And you simply cannot serve a massive plate of jiaozi without the proper dipping sauces. The sauce is the final, crucial element. It cuts through the richness of the dough and the meat, adding an entirely new dimension of flavor.
The guide discusses a couple of popular sauce variations. The most classic, straightforward option is dipping the dumpling in dark rice vinegar.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, the sharp acidity of the vinegar really balances out the heavy, savory pork fat. It's simple and delicious. But the guide also details a much bolder, more aggressive option.
Yes, for those who want a stronger flavor profile, there is a very pungent, powerful mix. You start with a generous spoonful of bright red spicy chili oil, and you mix in a large amount of freshly crushed raw garlic.
The author actually describes this spicy chili and garlic mixture as the soul of the dish. It completely wakes up your taste buds.
It really does.
Although I have to say, eating a heavy dose of raw garlic is a pretty bold move if you have to go back to the office or attend a meeting right afterwards.
Well, your coworkers might keep their distance, but the explosion of flavor is absolutely worth it. The heat of the chili and the bite of the raw garlic contrast perfectly with the warm, comforting dough.
I'm getting hungry just talking about it.
Me too. But the sauce isn't the only exciting thing happening at the dinner table. There is also a very specific, thrilling family tradition to look out for. It's called the Lucky Dumpling Game.
I found this part of the guide so charming. How exactly does the Lucky Dumpling game work?
So it happens back in the kitchen during the team sport phase. While the family is folding hundreds of dumplings, they will secretly take just one single dumpling out of the batch.
Okay.
And instead of filling it with minced pork or cabbage, they will hide a clean metal coin inside. Sometimes families will use a small piece of hard candy instead.
Wait, if the dumpling itself already represents an ancient silver ingot, hiding a literal metal coin inside feels like doubling down on the good luck.
Exactly. It's super lucky. They fold the dough, seal it with cleats just like all the normal ones, and throw it into the huge boiling pot. When the dumplings are piled high on the dinner table, no one has any idea which one contains the hidden treasure.
So what does this all mean for the person who actually finds it? Is it just a fun game, or is there a deeper significance?
It ties directly back into the cultural meaning of the Lunar New Year. The tradition dictates that whoever bites into that specific dumpling and discovers the hidden coin will be blessed with the absolute best luck, health, and financial prosperity for the entire rest of the year.
Wow.
Finding it is considered a massive honor. Everyone at the table is secretly hoping they're the one to find the coin.
It's a brilliant way to add excitement to a meal. But from a highly practical standpoint, the author does raise a very funny and very real warning about this game.
Oh, yes, the warning.
Finding the coin is amazing for your spiritual luck, but you have to chew very, very carefully.
Yes, caution is highly advised here.
Because, as the guide humorously points out, dealing with emotional damage from a bad year is one thing. But dealing with dental damage, literally cracking your tooth because you eagerly bit down as hard as you could on a solid metal coin, is an entirely different problem.
Nobody wants that.
Definitely not. You really don't want your year of incredible good luck to begin with an expensive, painful trip to the dentist.
That is a very fair warning. You just have to bite softly until you know for sure what is inside your little treasure chest.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's bring it all back to you, the listener. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've seen how a simple mixture of flour, water, and mincemeat can hold centuries of cultural history.
We really have.
Whether you are actively studying English, exploring Chinese culture for the first time, or just trying to decide what to order for dinner tonight, understanding Jiaozi gives you a literal taste of Chinese family values.
And from a language learning perspective, you are walking away with a fantastic, highly descriptive arsenal of English vocabulary.
Let's do a quick recap.
Great idea. You now understand why ingredients need to be minced to balance flavor. You can visualize the curved crescent shape. You know the history of the ancient silver ingot. You appreciate the difficult folded technique of pleats. And you understand the science behind why a crispy pan-fried bottom is just so satisfying to eat.
You can confidently use these words the next time you visit a restaurant, or even better, the next time you attempt to cook in your own kitchen. You aren't just memorizing definitions. You're connecting the words to a real sensory experience.
Which leaves us with one final important thought for you to ponder. We've spent this entire time exploring how the Chinese dumpling acts as a warm treasure chest.
Right.
It's shaped like historical money to attract wealth. It acts as the social glue for a family, and it literally hides lucky surprises inside. So think about your own life and your own cultural background.
What a great prompt.
What specific food in your own culture serves as a treasure chest? What is that one dish that requires the whole family to assemble, that holds hidden meaning or represents a deep, unspoken wish for your future?
I love that question, because ultimately the best way to understand the world isn't by staring at a dry list of facts. It's by pulling up a chair, sitting down with the people you care about, and seeing exactly what's on the plate. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.